Colleagues online, delegates, welcome back. We are building up to another fantastic set of conversations as we try and do consistently. You'll see one of my favorite companies, which I've got a little history with, run by one of my favorite CEOs, is last, so you can tell that's not a graveyard shift. So we really tried to fill the full 2 days with fantastic content. Yesterday, we took you to, so we have lots of conversations with the CEOs, but 2 conversations specifically have the aim of getting a little bit more granular, like what does it take to run, we say, the challenges of operating a large-scale mine. Guys, this is not a mine. This is a flippin' mining complex of note, like Zimplats yesterday. So we're going to talk to Moses, who's the CEO of Impala Platinum. Moses, you should have been up here, dude. I mean, you're not underground. Come, be with me. We're going to have a nice chat about the challenges. Welcome, Moses. I'm sure you are more comfortable in Rustenburg than in London, but let's take you out of your comfort zone and talk about it. So I'm controlling. So Moses negotiated with me 2 slides. He says, nobody will understand what I'm doing unless I can show them a picture. So we'll get to that. But before we get to that, I want to get to Moses. Tell me, I mean, I heard about you when Implat stole you out of Harmony, I think. That's the first time I heard your name. Then you spectacularly turned around Marula. That's when I paid attention. And subsequently, I know that part of your history. But take me before you joined Implants. Where did you come from? How did you get into the industry? And the obvious question, why did you get into the industry?
Okay. It's good to be in London. Maybe I must start saying that first. And thanks for inviting me here. So Moses is just a young boy who was born in a province called Northwest in South Africa. And the reason why I wanted to do mining is mainly because I wanted to look after my siblings. I've got 3 siblings, which I successfully did, and they are now grown up, doing well in their life. I started in massive ore body company called Z.B.S, still existing now. And I think they've trained me well for 12 years. And during that time, I've managed to develop myself on the technical leg and as well as on the practical leg. And then I decided to join Implats, now called Volterra. I'm not sure whether I can still relate to
Implats called Volterra. I need to recalibrate it. Let's get
Amplats
called Volterra. Just
Volterra.
don't want to cause confusion.
Yeah, Amplats called Volterra. It is my second home. I'm not sure whether Volterra is my second home now. But I've spent 5 years. Then I've decided to go to the gold mines.
Why? But anyway, carry on. Must have been the money.
There was a reason for it.
The money, I'm sure.
No, not really, because most of the people came from gold and they went to Rustenburg.
Yeah.
And they looked sharp and quite experienced. So I thought, let me go and pick up that experience. And yeah, I found home in gold, spent 10 years.
10 years?
10 years in one company here in Harmony. And I think I've then got the technical knowledge of what gold mine is all about. Got a bit tired, then I decided to come back to Implats. For the past 4 years, I've been in Implats. I haven't got tired yet.
So, I mean, I'm very interested always in technical people, operational people who clearly, when they go to a place, things change. They turn it around. But I'm as interested in that turnaround. Sometimes it's easy. Burning platform, back against the wall, rah, 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 come team, we can do this. But the things you need to do at that time to ensure that the business stays at a higher level. Because otherwise you just have one of these businesses that gets turned around. Distill for us, in your own approach, what is it that you do that is short-term, and what is it that you do that is longer-term, systemic improvements? Just unpack a little bit of your approach for us.
I think each and every company or business or asset is different. It's got different challenges. But I always say the first thing that you do, you make sure that you got good people. Luckily, I've led people, so you need to lead people. Even if they are not the best of the world, you need to make them the best of the world. So I think the first thing that you should do, it goes about how you treat your executives or how you treat your people. Because they will go an extra mile. You can't run a mine alone, so that team that is below you, they will always go an extra mile. If they know that what they are doing, they are not doing it for money, they are doing it to make sure the team is successful. So that's the first thing. So when you look at the short term, you will obviously just look at the quick wins and ask yourself where the opportunities are. So you'd spend time, assess, and do your own analysis, and then from there take a view to say, this will take us to the next level, the next step, and this is how long it will take us. Then from there, you need to put systems in place. That is now taking, obviously, care of the longer term. Make sure to put systems in place, make sure to got good people that can run those systems. And then we use systems to determine your direction, because mining is complex, it's big. If you don't have solid leadership and systems that determine your coordinates, you will get lost. And then those coordinates, obviously, they will lead you into the longer future.
Before we get on to the Rustenburg complex, a final question about Marula. My recollection of Marula at the time was there were not only technical challenges, but lots of stakeholder issues. Everybody seemed to have been quite pissed off, including the employees. So, I mean, how do you change that around? How do you get everybody to think this is actually worth supporting?
That's a good one. I never knew I'll talk about Marula. But I think the best thing that you do, you should break the ice. So when you deal with those stakeholders, you shouldn't look at it as winner takes it all. You should always look at it as a win-win solution. So you should understand their perspective or their view. Also, they should understand your viewpoint, and then you should create a middle line. So I think the word is engagement, and the truthful engagement. You need to talk facts all the time. There will be some time where, obviously, they will be demanding. You need to stand your point. So going back to Marula, I think the stakeholders during that time, they just needed to be taken along. They just needed to understand that there are laws in South Africa that needs to be respected. They just needed to make sure that those laws are followed. And then once they realized that we are sticking to the rules, we are sticking to the laws, the police are behind us, the engagement is open, we can always have a discussion and disagree, continue with another discussion another day. And then we set up the frequent engagement that we honored, and we followed up on what we agreed. Then it became easy to turn around that asset.
And you thought we had to talk about this operation, so why don't we talk about this operation? You want to talk about the Impala operations. You're going to have to help people understand how many kilometers the scale is there on the right, and then why don't you briefly give people a sense of the operation that you are the CEO of now?
Yeah. Impala Rustenburg, I think is the biggest complex that I've ever run in my life. And I think it's the only single biggest complex that I know in the Western Hemisphere in South Africa. It employs about 51,000 employees, of which I think at the moment as we speak, 75% of those employees are underground. 12% of those employees, they work night shifts. Believe you what, our maximum energy intensity is actually high on night shift, and only 12% of the people are on night shift, mainly because all the equipments are on. It produces about 1.8 million ounces of PGMs per annum. I think the highest single site producer of PGMs, I think is Norilsk. I think there's about 2.7 if I remember correctly. So you will understand that a complex that big from a PGM ounces point of view, it will have a higher fixed cost. Our fixed cost is just over 65%. And then our cash cost is about $2.1 billion per annum. And with our capital expenditure, which we've allocated it in an astute way, is ranging about just $0.25 billion per annum. So that's the size of the operation that we run. But I think our mineral inventory, if I can if I can just talk about it, we actually extracted from 12 shafts or 12 areas or 12 assets. 3 of the assets we acquired 2 years ago from RB Platts. It's actually very solid assets, extremely solid assets. So one of the assets is Tier 1. It's the trackless mine, Stale Drift. I think one day I'll talk a lot about it. There's a lot of potential on that assets, expecting a lot at the moment. And yeah, we run a whole mining value chain, all the way from mining to processing with our marketing and refinery close by to Springs. And we've got about 21 communities that we operate amongst. A lot of challenges from those communities, and I'll talk about it perhaps later. And yeah, we share our rewards. We own the mine with employees and with some of our BBE partners. Thanks.
21 communities. I mean, that's quite a mind-boggling sort of thing, because when we talk about stakeholders and community, it sounds like a community. So when you say 21 communities, are this just one community that lives in 21 little villages, or are they, by definition, very different communities with different issues?
It's different communities with different issues, but I think the good thing, or perhaps that's what we do well in South Africa, each community will have different committee, and the committees will have different challenges as well, but then we all sit under one roof where all the communities are represented by different committees. Sometimes it's easier, brings easier challenges, because once we solve one issue, the whole communities are fine with it. But perhaps I should talk about what makes our engagement with our communities work. I think it's important that your communities understand what shaped your challenges, because I believe every mining industry will have different challenges. We understand that our challenges are shaped by the type of an ore body that we mine, by the environment where we operate, and the complexity that we find ourselves. But I think more importantly so, the macro challenges, they will shape our challenges as well. And some of the socio-economic challenges that we find in different communities, we got a plan, and I can talk about it perhaps later as well, to say what do we do to address those socio-economic challenges.
Yeah, for those who are not familiar with South Africa and this part of the Bushveld complex, so Marikana that we spoke about earlier is just to the right of this diagram. So the Marikana and those community and union issues, these are all neighboring sort of operations. So you're a bloody engineer who needs slides. You should go work for McKinsey. It's even a blue slide. You wanted to just have a structure to the conversation. I really don't have a big need for us to talk about the PGM customers. I know you do. We've touched a little bit on the employees. We can come back. Just talk to me about the government. So your operation is all within one province, Northwest, so that simplifies things. But you function at local level, at provincial level, and at national level. Just talk us through the government interactions. How does that play out for you?
Yeah. It's important to engage the government because I don't want to call it a grey line, but they've got requirements, or the community's got requirements and needs that needs to be fulfilled by the government. So I think it's extremely important that we do engage the government on a frequent basis. So you are right, I operate in multiple levels, all the way up to the premier of a province. But to answer your questions, on quarterly basis, we take the premier as well as the municipal managers through what we see, through what we hear from the communities, and we share what we expect from them, and we also tell them what are we doing within our communities. So, and I think it always boils down to infrastructure, boils down to water, boils down to electricity, boils down to unemployment, and boils down to education. So those are sort of the themes that on quarterly basis we will talk to the government, how far we've done in every area or every headings that I've mentioned, which I can elaborate if you want me to get into the details, perhaps.
Can we touch quickly? So you do engage with shareholders. You accompany the CEO and others, the corporate CEO and others on roadshows. When you engage with shareholders in London or other parts of the world, what is it that you take out of those conversations to say this is relevant to Rustenburg, to my operation? Just interpret your shareholder perspectives for me into operational challenges. They just want more for less. I mean, that's simple.
No, that's good. I think I like the question because, I mean, I've been in Rustenburg for more than 2 years, and in most cases, I've realized that our shareholders, they want our PGM. I think that's the first thing. And the most important thing is they want the PGM that is safe, that is environmentally friendly, and we've shown that commitment. We know that we had a lot of challenges from the safety point of view, but we've shown them there's been a disconnect. In fact, our lost time injury frequency rate has actually went down, but it has been disconnect between loss of lives as well as our lost time injury frequency rate. So what we take from the shareholders is to make sure, from me, in my opinion, is to make sure that we mine safely. And that's exactly what we are doing. We believe that zero harm is possible. And there are a lot of things that we are putting in place, including the safety culture, to make sure that we get to that point.
So a few years ago, I'm not sure whether you would have been in the platinum industry, everybody sat and waited for Lonman to fall over. That would fix the price, everything would be fine. Frinneman and his guys screwed that up. Lonman didn't fall over. It's now profitable mines. But Rustenburg, Impala Rustenburg had a similar brand of a struggling marginal asset that isn't making money. And between Nico and Mark, I think they've repositioned it. So is Rustenburg now the big asset that everybody is waiting to fall over, or is it a sustainable, viable business that will produce PGMs for the next 20 years?
Rustenburg is a good asset. Perhaps I should start there, and I'll tell you why I'm saying that. Because, and I agree with you, perhaps it's a price taker. Because the complex is big, when the price is up, you can print money. Let's rather put it that way. And when the price cycle is at the bottom, I think you need to then make sure that you are cost efficient, which we've done very well in the past 2-3 years, and then make sure that your efficiencies, you've managed your efficiencies, your outputs is really up to the par. And I think we've done that very well as well. So if you've got these two levers and you are controlling it very well in Rustenburg is quite a fantastic complex to run. To answer your question, I think we understand the challenges of the price. We understand that when the prices are up, it's a game changer for any investor looking at the quantum or the PGMs that we produce per annum. So, and when the prices are down, I think we also know what to do. If I can just perhaps make an example, and the prices has been down for the past year, and we have been retrenched in Rustenburg. So we made sure that our efficiencies, our production, I mean, is actually going very well. We've shared it with our employees. Communication is quite important. So they understood that everyone needs to bring his A game to the party. And yeah, we've opened it up with our union leadership, and they've spoke to the masses and ensure that whoever wants to go on voluntary separation, retrenchment, must actually raise their hand. And then we prioritize those people, and we end up not even retrenching a person in the past 2 years. And we didn't even close any shaft at the moment.
And I think it was at the PGMs day or so that Nico was very boldly proclaiming two things. The one was he will never tolerate, that's Nico Muller, the CEO of Impala, he wouldn't tolerate assets that can't generate cash. And perhaps we can go there. So, I mean, the last few weeks, the platinum price has gone up. Before that, you had to run a huge complex. Were you cash generative?
Out of 12, I think Rustenburg as a whole, the answer is yes, but out of 12 shafts, I think there were about 2 or 3 shafts which we were a bit concerned about. And we've obviously, as I said, went into this engagement roadshow, take the management team through what they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing. And we started, maybe this is a good of running a big complex, because if three of the shafts are not doing that well, you've got opportunity to perhaps move the cost, move the labor to the other operations that are doing well and see if we can get that operation to perhaps leave the other. And that's exactly what we've been doing. So when we've got a lot of shafts close by, it gives you that leverage that we can play around with when times are tough.
The other thing I would recall from the PGM's day is Craig was full of happiness. The price was going up. And so was even Paul Dunn and others. Nico was more conservative. He was more like, you know, my business, I need to plan for the lower gold price, lower platinum price, and if it goes up, fantastic. Is that the operating model for you at Rustenburg now? Are you set for the lower price and the upper and a better price will just be upside?
I think the answer is yes, and maybe I can elaborate on that. I think when you look at the way or the astute way of allocating the capital, when you look at the preparations that we put up front versus the price, if you look at what we are doing now at the background on the shelves, dusting off all these replacement projects, making sure that they are ready when this price continues to do what it does. I think it's a good way of running the business, is to make sure that when you allocate your capital, you've done it in a very intelligent way, but is to also maintain the balance. That's a short-term capital that we can allocate to those replacement projects, and there's capital that we can allocate to the long-term projects. So I think the way that we are doing it, I'm quite happy. And yes, I do support the statement that, or the rule and the policy that we follow in the company, that we will not support any operation that is loss-making, or will not use other operation to tax the other operation that is loss-making. I think that message goes down well to the executive management team as well as to the employees, so they understand that each and every asset needs to stand on its own. So I think it's quite good. The
questions takes us where the questions take us. So I'm now disclosing that this question is not from me. And we've got probably about 6 or 7 minutes left for questions. So Louise Porteous asked, are cultural governance inputs, in other words, historical village leaders and norms, so you've got a king in your community, are they becoming more prominent in South Africa now, given lack of confidence in elected government? So it's a loaded question. It implies there's a lack of trust in elected government. But perhaps unpack the role of the Kgoshi. I mean, it's one of the more prominent royalty leaders of South Africa, is one of your key stakeholders.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. Should I say where we operate, the frequent engagement that I spoke about on quarterly basis with the King, they're actually quite fruitful, and they are forward-looking. If you look at the communities that are surrounded or that the King leads, I think they've done well for the community.
So some of your 21 communities would be subject of the Kgoshi.
Yeah, I think they've really done well. When you look at the infrastructure, when you look at the schooling, when you look at the education, when you look at the pass rate in the schools, I think where our operations finds ourselves operating, I really think they're in a good space. So there are challenges. We are aware of some of the challenges that we are facing with regards to the services. We are aware the grey line between us and the government. But I think the dialogue, the respect and the trust that we open our dialogue, the engagement, I think they are only bringing success at the moment through these challenges. I should say to you that if we didn't have an open dialogue, if we didn't update each other on quarterly basis, I think I will agree with the question. But I think because we know what to anticipate, we plan the challenges that are facing us. I really think we are on the next level. So the government has got its own challenges. I won't go that route. But I think the challenges that we are faced in Rustenburg, we are able to navigate very well around those challenges.
I must say, you make it sound so simple. I feel like I should go back and run a little mining company again. I mean, geez, how easy could it be? I mean, it's just like, bring it on, eh? Moses, you bloody supermen, super people. I'm just calling you Superman because you're a man, but you supermen, you make it sound so simple. When I spoke with Alex Membere, he made the point that he has no skills problem. Zimbabwe generates quality people, enough people, and obviously as the premier employer in Zimbabwe, he can attract them. What is your skills situation operating in South Africa? Do you have the right skills? Can you get the right skills? What are you doing to develop and grow the skills?
We have the right skills. I think the concern that I've got is we are going to have a shortage of the skills in the near future. And I mean, thanks for asking the question, what are we doing about it? And I mean, the skills can really be on the lower level. We can talk about the RDOs, we can talk about the supervisors, we can talk about all up to the executives. But I think the most important thing, or what we are doing at the moment, we've got about 26 schools in our community. And we've appointed each and
Primary and
it's about 12 primary schools, and I think about, let's say, 12, 13 of the high schools. But we've made a decision that there are people that are obviously interested to come and work in the mine. So out of our 12 operations, we've appointed our general managers to be an ambassador of each and every school. In other words, he visits that school once a quarter, and he talks to the matriculants. He opens the first class when the school opens, and just before they write the exams as well, he makes sure that he motivates them. So we've adopted the high schools for the matriculants class. I can tell you now that our pass rate last year was just over 86%, and it comes from the lowest of 70, 74. I think that helps a lot. And then we are also giving those, some of the students or the matriculants that want to really continue with their career in the mining industry. We give them bursaries, and there are those that want employment immediately after, because we've got a challenge with our skills, the unskilled and semi-skilled labor. I mean, that's where also we've got a challenge. So we've got a pool that we send our young workforce, put it that way, young adults, young workforce, to some of the trade courses to make sure that at least we've got a pool. With all the young workforce that we've sent to different trades, we've managed to employ all of them. We've sent about 50 per quarter. I think last year we've done just over 200 young workforce that went artisan, electrical, and we've managed to absorb all of them. So we are helping ourselves at the same time, but I think there's a lot that needs to be done.
So Minister Gwede Mantashe, who turned 70 last week, so he's flipping old. He's a dinosaur. But you know, when you get that old, you start worrying about legacy. And you know, one of his dream legacies is to have a school of mines in Rustenburg. Do you think that would make sense? And I'm sending this message back to him, so just think what you answer.
I think when you look at the companies that, this is my opinion, when you look at the companies that are in Rustenburg, and we look at the training that they are doing, and you look at how much or how many people are actually getting out of the training and perhaps going through the training corridors, in my opinion, I don't think the School of Mines will serve a need, and I'll tell you why. Look, if we are opening up mines, if we are opening up new ore bodies, perhaps this discussion is different. But the fact that we know some of the mines are coming to an end, I know we've got an aging workforce, I know education is a challenge, but I think we can harness from each other. Perhaps if all those mines, is just an opinion, if they all sit together and they see how they can continue to train based on their needs, I don't think there will be a need to build a monster school of mines that might not have, or that might be full, but then where do you take those people after that?
Interesting. I will relay that message to him. Obviously, as somebody who grew up in Rustenburg and got into mining purely because that's the town I grew up in, I think when we talk about next generation of people, they are more likely to come out of mining towns than out of Sandton and or London. Mr. Moses Motlhageng, he runs a tiny little operation. He clearly has got time for golf and cycling and what knows whatever else. It's phenomenal. And I do think sometimes conversations in other parts of the world about Africa makes it sound harder than what it is. I'm not taking away from the challenges you face, but with us here sits a man who, with a team, runs a huge operation successfully in South Africa. I think it's a fantastic story. Thank you, Moses. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bernard. Thank you. Thanks.